Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be chosen to carry a deeper spiritual calling, while others live as if they were just passing through life? What if I told you that there was a specific divine purpose in store for you? A mission that perhaps you've already begun to sense but haven't yet fully understood. Today we're going to dive into the real reason why God awakens some to a different journey, full of challenges and revelations. This isn't just another video about spirituality. It's a reminder of your higher purpose and the urgency of aligning yourself with it. As Christ himself said, "Many are called, but few are chosen." Do you feel that call? Then get ready. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why your pains, doubts, and seemingly random encounters are essential parts of your path. What follows could change the way you see your own journey. After all, the time to wake up is now. Have you ever felt that amidst the chaos of the world, there is something greater waiting for you? As if a silent voice deep down was trying to tell you that your life has a purpose that hasn't yet been fully revealed. Being chosen by this voice is not a random event or a mystical privilege. It's as if existence itself were whispering to your heart. Wake up. There is something that only you can bring to the world. But this feeling can also be confusing, especially when others around you don't seem to share the same perception. This calling is not about greatness or being above anyone else. It's not a crown, it's an invitation. When God awakens some souls for a special mission, the aim is not to separate them, but to transform them into instruments of light and consciousness. Being called is more like finding an inner compass pointing to an unknown path, a path that can begin with small restlessness, unanswered questions, and a search for something that seems to be beyond what the eyes can see. Many believe that being chosen should come with an immediate clarity of what to do or where to go. But in fact, the awakening usually happens little by little, as if the purpose were being revealed in fragments. First, you realize that ordinary life no longer fills your soul. Then you start to question things that seemed normal before. And finally, you realize that there is a call to follow, a call that cannot be ignored without something inside you breaking. But not everyone is ready to listen. Some avoid this call because it demands change. It asks you to look beyond the ego, embrace new truths, and surrender to a process of transformation. God does not awaken those who already know all the answers, but those who have the courage to seek. Being chosen doesn't mean being perfect. It means being willing to be shaped and guided by the greater purpose that dwells within you, even if it still seems distant or nebulous. And that's where the first challenge comes in. Walking this journey can make you feel isolated, misunderstood. Many people won't understand why you want to follow a different path or seek something beyond appearances. You will be faced with difficult choices, moments of doubt and loneliness. But this is also an essential part of the process. After all, it's precisely in these moments of apparent disconnection that answers begin to emerge and something profound begins to fall into place. The world won't always be ready for those who awaken first. Following an inner calling can be one of the loneliest journeys anyone faces. When you awaken to a new vision of life, it often feels like the people around you are living in a different dimension, stuck in routines and preoccupations that no longer make sense to you. This feeling of not belonging is common among those who have been called to something greater. And with it comes a silent pain, that of feeling out of place in a world that doesn't seem to recognize the value of your search. Often the people you love most, friends, family, partners, don't understand the changes that are beginning to take place within you. What once connected you to them can lose its relevance, and uncomfortable questions arise. Am I going crazy? Or, why do I feel like I can't be who I used to be? The weight of this transition can be overwhelming because, on a deep level, all you want is to be understood. But the path of a chosen one is not about being understood by others, but by yourself. This loneliness, however, is not a punishment. It is a preparation. Just as a butterfly needs to pass through the cocoon in order to fly, the silence and apparent disconnection you now face are essential parts of your metamorphosis. True transformation always begins on the inside. At first, it may seem that the universe is taking everything that was familiar away from you. But in fact, it's emptying space for something new, something you can't yet fully see. It is at this point that many give up or try to go back to the old way of living, only to discover that the old me no longer exists. You can't unsee what has already been revealed to your soul. The only real option is to move on, even when the road is foggy. It's not about pleasing or convincing others. It's about being faithful to that silent call that pulses within you. Every step you take on this path is a demonstration of trust, not just in the divine plan, but in yourself as a legitimate channel of God's will. Over time, you will begin to realize a subtle but powerful truth. The beauty of being chosen lies precisely in the ability to embrace the paradox of solitude and connection at the same time. Even if the world doesn't always understand your journey, you are not alone. There is a constant presence guiding you, and you will meet other souls who have also awakened, but it only happens when the time is right. You have to be patient and trust that the path, however lonely it may seem, is taking you exactly where you need to be. And when you learn to accept this feeling of being misunderstood, something inside you changes. The pain of separation turns into acceptance and peace. Little by little, you begin to realize that true strength doesn't come from external validation, but from the internal certainty that you are exactly where you should be. And it is in this confidence that you find the key to facing the fears and doubts that try to keep you from the path. The journey of those who are chosen inevitably awakens deep fears and doubts. It's not uncommon for the mind to whisper in the middle of the path. What if I'm fooling myself? What if I fail? Why does everything seem so difficult? These inner voices can be persistent and sometimes paralyzing. But far from being enemies, they are allies in disguise, asking to be heard and understood. Fear and doubt do not appear to destroy us, but to teach and strengthen us. The real challenge is to learn how to deal with these emotions without being consumed by them. The first step is to recognize that these voices are natural. When you leave the known to explore the unknown, be it a new way of thinking, acting, or feeling, the ego reacts. It's designed to keep us safe within familiar boundaries. So when you set out on a quest for a greater purpose, it's as if the internal alarm goes off. Watch out. It's dangerous to go out there alone. But in fact, it's precisely outside this comfort zone that transformation happens. Instead of fighting these emotions or trying to silence them by force, the secret lies in welcoming them. When you allow yourself to listen to what fear and doubt are really saying, you begin to realize that they carry important messages. Fear may be asking you to develop more confidence and preparation. Doubt, on the other hand, is an invitation to look inwards and align yourself even more with your truth. Both emotions act as mirrors, revealing where your soul needs attention and care. But it's important not to get caught up in these voices. They are like passing clouds in the sky of your consciousness. They don't define who you are. The key is to use the practice of conscious observation, noticing when the mind is flooded with limiting thoughts, and, instead of identifying with them, choosing to act based on wisdom rather than fear. A good example is when doubt tries to convince you to give up. Instead of retreating, you can take a step forward, however small, as a show of confidence in the process. With time and practice, these internal voices begin to lose their strength. What was once paralyzing becomes learning. You discover that fear and doubt are like stones in the road. They may seem like obstacles at first glance, but they are actually steps for you to climb. Every time you choose to move forward, even when you feel afraid, your faith grows stronger. And this confidence in the journey creates space for a new perception to emerge. Signs and synchronicities begin to appear more clearly. As you go deeper into the spiritual journey, something curious begins to happen. Seemingly random events connect in unexpected ways, creating the sensation that there is a greater intelligence guiding your steps. You think of someone and minutes later, they send you a message. A book you didn't even know existed falls into your hands just when you need answers. These moments of alignment are known as synchronicities. And for many chosen ones, they are confirmed as signs from the universe. But the question soon arises: are these signs real or just coincidences that the mind interprets as significant? The rational mind tends to question the veracity of these experiences, trying to reduce everything to mere chance. However, an awakened soul knows that not everything can be explained by logic. Synchronicity is like a secret language of life, a silent reminder that we are on the right path and that the source is always communicating with us, as long as we know how to listen with an open heart. The challenge is to learn to discern between a true sign and a projection of the anxious mind. When we're desperately searching for answers, it's easy to see meaning where there isn't any. Genuine synchronicity, on the other hand, doesn't need to be forced. It just happens and brings a sense of certainty and peace. Instead of a tense expectation, there is a gentle feeling of course it was meant to be like this. It's as if each piece of the puzzle fits together naturally. To consciously pick up on these signs, it is essential to cultivate presence in the now. Synchronicities don't happen in the future or the past. They occur when we are completely present in the moment, with our senses and heart open. The more you align yourself internally, the more these meaningful coincidences begin to appear. The universe responds to our vibration, and when we are connected to our inner truth, we become a receptive field for these signs. However, it's not enough to recognize synchronicities. You have to act on them. When a sign appears, it is an invitation for you to take a step forward on your journey. Ignoring these messages can create stagnation, while acting with confidence generates new connections and opportunities. And so, as you go with the flow of the universe, you will notice that the signs become clearer and more frequent. They become a silent compass, guiding you where you need to go and revealing the next stage of your transformation. In a world so full of noise and distractions, silence becomes an act of courage. The modern mind is used to keeping busy, always looking for answers out there, in the next video, the next conversation, or the next task. But when you are chosen to walk a spiritual path, you realize that the most important answers come not from outside, but from within. And the only place where they can be heard clearly is in silence. To enter into silence is not only to get away from the noise outside, but also to quiet down inside. It is there that restless thoughts, judgments, and doubts begin to dissolve, making room for a deeper wisdom. In stillness, the mind is no longer the protagonist. Instead, something greater emerges, the divine presence that has always been there, waiting for you to stop running and finally listen to it. At first, this practice can be challenging. Silence can expose everything you've been avoiding facing: hidden fears, old pains, and a sense of emptiness. This is why many people avoid being alone with their thoughts. But if you manage to get through this initial layer, you soon realize that silence is not an enemy, but a portal. It leads you to a space of inner peace, where you can access the wisdom of your soul and feel the loving presence of Source in every heartbeat. The practice of meditation is a powerful way of cultivating this silence. It's not about emptying your mind or achieving a state of perfection. It's just about being present, breathing, and feeling the moment as it is. In silence, you reconnect with your essence and learn to trust your intuition. The answers that once seemed so far away begin to appear subtly, not like a loud voice, but like a soft whisper that gently guides your every step. And the more you practice this silent connection, the more you realize that silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is in it that you begin to feel that, even in the most chaotic situations, there is an inner peace that is always accessible. Silence not only guides, but also heals. It dissolves fear, strengthens confidence, and aligns you with the greater purpose of your life. And it is precisely from this inner serenity that you learn to flow with life, without resistance or haste. On our spiritual journey, it's natural for moments to arise when everything seems too difficult. The ego's tendency is to resist what it doesn't understand, seeking control and immediate answers. We try to force situations, maintain what is slipping away, or change what is not under our control. This resistance, although it seems like a way of protecting our path, is actually the biggest block to the manifestation of divine purpose. Learning to flow with life is an art, and conscious surrender is the key that opens us up to this practice. Flowing doesn't mean giving up or accepting everything passively. Surrender is not weakness, it is trust. It is understanding that there is a natural time and rhythm for all things. Sometimes life will ask us to act. At other times, it will ask for patience. And when we resist the natural movement, we waste energy fighting against the currents. Instead of moving forward, we get stuck, exhausted, and unable to understand why life seems so heavy. To flow is to stop fighting the river and allow it to take you in the right direction, even if you don't see clearly where it's taking you. True surrender happens when we trust the process, even if we don't have all the answers. It's accepting that not everything needs to be understood at the moment, and that the delays and challenges we encounter along the way are part of the preparation. Imagine a plant. It doesn't grow faster because someone keeps pulling at its leaves. There is a certain time for everything to manifest, and when you learn to align yourself with this rhythm, you realize that even what seemed like an obstacle was actually preparing you for the next step. It's common for the mind to bring up thoughts like, "What if it doesn't work out?" Or, "What if I'm wasting my time?" But this anxiety is precisely a sign that you are resisting the flow. Flow is not the absence of fear, but the choice to trust even in its presence. It's acting when it's time to act and resting when it's time to wait, without trying to control the final outcome. Conscious surrender is the balance between presence and trust, between doing and letting happen. The more you practice this surrender, the clearer the feeling becomes that life is not happening against you, but for you. Every encounter, every detour, and even every apparent failure are parts of the journey. When you let go of control and trust the flow, you realize that the universe always guides you to where you need to be. And it is precisely in this trust that you begin to manifest the divine purpose with more lightness and authenticity. There comes a time in the spiritual journey when you realize that all the knowledge, the inner search, and the lessons you've received weren't just for you. The true purpose of the chosen ones is not to live in isolation and contemplation, but to bring the light and love they have found within themselves to the world around them. It's as if the inner transformation needs to find a concrete way of expressing itself, through words, gestures, and actions that impact material reality. The mission is not just to understand divine love, but to live it and manifest it in every daily choice. This means that, once awakened, you become responsible for what you emanate into the world. Every thought, every intention, and every attitude becomes an act of creation. The way you speak, the way you treat people, and the way you deal with challenges is an opportunity to express the divine. And real mission doesn't require grandiose feats. It happens in the simple, everyday things, in a hug given sincerely, in listening without judgment, in compassion for those who make mistakes, and in forgiveness for those who have hurt you. Living this mission, however, does not mean that you will be perfect or that you will not face failures and falls. We are all apprentices in the art of loving consciously, and this journey is made up of ups and downs. The most important thing is not to never make mistakes, but to always get back on track when we stray from our essence. When we act in alignment with divine love, even our imperfections become part of the purpose, because they help us to grow and teach with humility. And here is a profound truth. Love only becomes real when it is transformed into action. It is not enough just to feel love or to understand lofty concepts. The greater purpose of the chosen ones is to bring this love into the world in a tangible way, to build bridges, heal wounds, and sow hope where there is darkness. This is not something reserved for the wise or the holy, but for all those who decide to live with awareness, even in the face of challenges. Every little action done with loving intention resonates far beyond what the eye can see. So the real mission is about being a presence of light wherever you are. transforming the environment and the people around you by simply choosing to be true, compassionate, and present. And the more you live this purpose, the more you realize that it's not something you do, but something you are. Divine love manifests itself through you when you become transparent to it, allowing every gesture to be a sincere expression of the light that dwells in your soul. Everything you were looking for was already inside you, waiting to be shared with the world. In the end, the truth is simple. You were called to remember who you really are, and to manifest that essence in every act, no matter how small. The world needs your light, and every step you take on this journey is not just for you, but for everyone your presence will touch. Transformation begins within, but it only makes sense when it spreads outwards. Now it's your turn. Trust the path, listen to your inner voice, and carry this message forward. If this video resonated with you, leave your gesture of gratitude. A simple comment, like or share, is more than a click. It's the way of spreading this light on to others who also need to awaken. Sign up to continue this journey with us and ensure that this message reaches further and further. Thank you for walking with me this far. The universe sees you, and your time is now.